Hi everybody, this is Jen from Cookies, Cupcakes, and Cardio.com. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite cakes to date. It is a Hunger Games Katniss cake. If you're familiar with the Hunger Games series, you will know exactly what this cake represents. But for those of you who may not be, down below we have the Mockingjay feathers, the burning ring in the center, and the top is her wedding dress. Let's get started on this really fun tutorial. To make the cake, we're going to be using this Katniss Hunger Games doll. I'll put a link in the description box below for where I got it on Amazon. We're going to be using 3 colors of buttercream. We have black, red, and white. And then for our cakes, we're going to be using 2 pieces. This one is an 8-inch round, and then over here, this one is a tapered doll pan, which I've used in previous videos if you need help with that. Now down here in front, we have some white fondant and black fondant. We also have hard candies, red, orange, and yellow. And then these are little edible accents. They're silver hearts. You could use anything that's silver and small like this. And we're going to be using some white royal icing. So we're going to start with the feathers as it takes a little bit of time for them to dry, and you have to make quite a few for this activity. So what I have here is, this is just a feather press or a feather mold. You can use it for chocolate or fondant like we're going to. So it just has the imprint here of the feathers, and I'm going to take my piece of fondant and just roll it out, and that's going to emboss it. But first, what I want to make sure I do is put a little bit of the shortening on. So anywhere you're going to be using it, just rub the shortening, because then that helps to make sure that it doesn't stick when you start to make your feathers, all these little veins. So then take your fondant here and then just press that down. Using a roller, roll it out like this. Just get approximately to the same width and height of the feather. Peel it off, and then you'll have an embossed feather there. So then you're going to go around it with a cutter and cut out the excess part from around the outside. Oh, there we go. You can use like a sharp knife or maybe something a little sharper than this. Like that. Peel away the excess. And then with an X-Acto knife, you just want to give the feather some texture. So I'm going to follow just along the edges on these little veins using my X-Acto knife, like this. So I'm going to go around the whole entire thing, making these little slits like this. And then when I've gone around this side, I'm just going to cut out a couple, so then it makes it look a little bit more realistic. Cut out a couple, totally random. And then you're going to want to repeat this process with the feathers, with the white and the black, about 20 to 30 times each. So once you've got them all cut out, and I'll do this side too, you're going to put them onto a flour former, and they will dry like that. Next up that needs to dry is our royal icing. Now this is going to be the lace piece that goes over the shoulder of Katniss's dress. On the tip I have a number 3, but you could use any round tip. So I'm just taking my royal icing, and this is just freehand. You could use like a lace piece if you wanted to. You just want to make something that's going to kind of go up and around her shoulder and then come down around her waist. So you can I suggest making a couple of these just in case they break, because they are pretty delicate. And then when they dry, you can, we'll show you the next step, and that's as simple as that part is. Once the royal icing has hardened, I've got my little pieces here, the little silver pieces ready, and I've got the piping gel here. And now I'm going to put my paintbrush into the piping gel. You could also do this with water. I just find that the piping gels, the little accents stick a little bit better to it. Now this one I tried to use a couple of different like little sprinkles, and I just found the best effect came from these silver accents. Now if you can't find them, you can definitely use other things like sanding sugar, or even like silver sprinkles if you can find those, or little silver dragées. But these ones I just found gave more of that realistic look to what Katniss's wedding dress looks like. So you just sprinkle them on like this, and then it's ready to go. So the last thing we need to do to be ready for the cake assembly is to melt our candies into one big huge piece of melted candy, and then we'll be able to break it and make it into flames. So all I'm doing here is just removing the wrappers, and then this will go into the oven that's preheated at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to want to melt it for probably 8 to 12 minutes. It's going to depend on, you have to watch the candies kind of closely just to make sure that they're not burning or bubbling and browning on the edges. It's not a big deal if it happens because you can always choose not to use that piece, but you just want to be careful that you don't have a little candy burning fire in your oven. So I'm going to put this into the oven, let it melt, and then we'll be ready to start assembling the cake. So we're ready to assemble the cake, and I've got the 8-inch cake and the round tapered one stacked here. And I also have cleaned and wrapped the bottom portion of the Katniss doll in plastic wrap, and that's just going to help keep the doll clean and the doll directly away from being in part of your food. So now you just take the doll and the feet first, put her into the center of the cake like that, and then just press down into the cake until she's all the way down in there as far as she can go. So we have the doll in the cake, and I've started to apply a thin layer of black buttercream to the bottom third of the cake. So I'm just going to make sure I get that all the way around the cake, and then I'll be back to show you the next step. So we've got the thin layer on now, and so now I have a Wilton number 104 petal tip, and I'm just going to place the fat end next to the cake, and then I'm just going to zigzag around the cake like this. Once you've gone around one full time, you're going to go around 2 more full times. So we have the buttercream on, so now we're going to take our feathers, and they're pretty delicate, so you want to be careful. And I'm going to put some down near the bottom there, and then I'm also going to put some a little bit higher. So I'm just going to alternate like high and then low. And all of the spots, like these spots up here, will get covered up later when we go to the next layer. So we're moving on to the burning layer, and I'm going to take some red buttercream, and I just have a really pointed tapered spatula, and I'm just going to apply a little bit here. Now the reason I don't want black behind the candy that simulates the fire is because the darkness of the black buttercream, it kind of dulls the actual flame because the candies are a little bit see-through. So you just want to make sure that you don't have any black buttercream up that far, and then you're just going to take your candy and just slide it in there and go around the whole cake with a fire layer here. Use lots of different sizes, lots of different colors, and it will look really, really cool like this. So I have my Mockingjay feathers, and then I have my ring of fire here. The next step is to cover the rest of the cake here, in the white buttercream. And again, I'm using the tapered, really thin spatula because I'm going to just carefully try to cover in behind the flames, and then I'll be doing some more covering up all the way up her torso. So I've got the base covered up here now with the white buttercream. So I'm switching to my buttercream with a 104 tip. And just like I did with the black, I'm going to squeeze and just do a zigzag motion. So all this is doing is it's just giving like a little bit of dimension to the cake in case the white feathers don't cover everything up. So that's going to just give it a little bit more of an interesting look. So I'm just going to continue this all the way up. So I've got it covered up here now, so now I'm going to add the little white feathers, and I'm going to do the same type of thing and just add them down low and just try to change the height of the feathers and then try to fit them too in between the flames, sort of like that. So I'm just going to continue around and finish off this feather bit. So I've switched my white piping bag to a 102 tip, and it's the same as a petal tip, and I'm just going to finish the rest of the torso and the front and the back, and then I will place the small little lace detail over her left shoulder, and I'll be back to show you the finished cake. So there you go, everybody. You can see that I put the lace detail on the top here of her dress. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial today. It was really fun to make a cake that is for such a fun movie series and book series, of course. I've read the books and I can't wait to see the newest movie that's coming out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all again next time.